And thank y'all for your patience with. Okay, so the top 10, the Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. We want to know, are we protected as veterans, in particularly retired veterans? Are they protected? Now, let's talk about it. Now, one of the things that's really, we know as being in the military, is our freedom of speech. Some active duty members can't say certain things, while they're on duty. And even some retirees, if you do something that getting you certain trouble, that could put your retirement at risk. I don't know if y'all knew that. Now, and when it comes to us as a disabled vet, we got to be careful what we say and what we do, right? Remember that movie Con Air? Man just got back home from the military and he wanted to be with his wife, and they dancing, the dude getting all up in his face, and he put him down, and one of them got taken out, I think. They used his military training to convict him. Now, the Second Amendment. Now, we talked about the Second Amendment. See, these are things, remember, everybody's supposed to have Second Amendment rights, right? Correct, I mean. I won't say right? Well, if you have a VA fiduciary, you part of the VA fiduciary program where somebody has to manage your money because they say you can't handle your finances, that also takes away your right to have weapons, even though finances and weapons are not related. Remember, we went over that, on our thing on Second Amendment. Now, the Fifth Amendment. Now, this is what we're talking about mostly tonight, and we ain't got much to cover. Military retirement. So when you get out, because somebody was saying, what, they can touch my military retirement? Yes, you get your retirement, you got your money, and you out the military, you're not under their law, military law no more. This is not true until the day you pass. Now, so here we go. Now, the concept, I ain't gonna say concept. Under the Fifth Amendment, dealing in the regular world, in the civilian world, well, in the Constitution, let me say Constitution, that you can't be tried twice for the same crime, right? Well, in the military, it's the same way. If you are accused of a crime in the military, they can only try you one time in the military. Yeah, here we go now. Let's talk about it. If both of them happen in the military, follow this. Double jeopardy and military law prevents a service member from being tried twice for the same offense. But this protection doesn't always extend to the civilian courts or administrative action, whatever that means. Now, listen to what I'm saying here. Guess like Article 15's, I don't know. Now, here we go. So you say, what if I retire and I get charged with a crime and I beat the crime? I'm not in the military no more. They can't charge me. They can't do nothing, put me back in the military, right? All right. Our brother says, John Thompson says, hello, H-Town vet and everybody. Yes, indeed. So let's talk about it. Now, tell all retirees this. There's a loophole. Even though you are retired from the military, there is a loophole to the double jeopardy law. Come on now. Yes. When you say, well, H-Town, that don't apply to me because I'm not retired. I'm 100% permanent and total, and I've had it for 20 years, and it wasn't based on fraud, so I'm set. No, they can't take away. They can't take away your rating. They can't take away your service connection. No, they can't take that away. Correction, they can't take your rating. They can reduce it down to 10% if you get incarcerated. So even if you are a disabled veteran they can touch you too. So if you're a retiree and a disabled veteran, they can reduce your compensation, and depending on what the situation, you could lose your retirement. Now, so let's say you go to court as a retired veteran, right? You did 20 active years in the military. Now look what our brother says here. He says, H-Town, I learned that the basic UCMJ comes first. Then after you go to the civilian court, civilian statutes of civilian freezer starts up discharge. Come on now. Let's get to it. Boy, because many veterans have been involved with the legal system. Come on now. Remember I showed you the stats. We get prosecuted twice as high. Thank us for our service, right? Remember I showed you that? It's almost like when they find out we veterans, they target us. You know how many veterans are incarcerated? And we tend to get, so let's say you go in the civilian court and you're found not guilty. And or the first time you found not guilty, they try you on something, you found not guilty twice. They don't supposed to do that, right? Well, it happened to somebody. And then they find you guilty. Well, how do they do that? Let's talk about it. This happened to this man named this military man named Timothy, right? Hennis, I'm sorry. And he was accused of committing a crime way back, I want to say in the 70s or 80s, 1970s, 1980s. And they couldn't convict him. And you're going to hear his story. You're going to tell me what you think. But when it all came down, he got the death penalties. He's right on death row right now. I don't know if you know, there's at least four military people or veterans or ex-military that's on death row. And I didn't know they could you give you the death penalty. Now let's see what they says here. I want to hear Betty Bob since okay, that's about the topic. We'll get back. That's y'all business. So Bonnie Woman, he said, how are you doing? Betty Bob asks. Now Kevin say, this happened to one of my fellow Marines when I was at Camp Pendleton. He hit a motorcyclist and killed him. He was charged, and JAG said that they are going to charge him again in 1998. My Lord. Do you see what I'm talking about? They don't show no sympathy to military. It's like they're looking to make their bones off of soldiers. Now, when I say make their bones, like their careers. Now, John say, hello, Betty Bob and Bonnie Woman. And I read his statement. Now, family, y'all can chat a little bit. I'm going to pull up let me see. Okay, I think I read it, what our sister said earlier. Let me see. Okay, I read those. So y'all give me a second, because I don't know if I still have it up here, but I'm trying to find it now, so be patient with me. Give me a second here, fam. But y'all go ahead and chat, because this is different from what I usually pull up. Tell me while we're waiting, how's that weather where you're at? Let me know what y'all weather's looking like and the temperature where you at. Let us know. All right, family. All right, we're gonna get to this. I found it. And this is going to be coming from a YouTuber I really impressed by him, Undercover Diaries, a young man. And I have a link to the description to his video and his channel in the description. So fair use, fair use. So Kevin says 62 degrees in Memphis, cloudy. All right, all right. What's it looking like where y'all at, family? And we're going to look at the case of this gentleman. Y'all tell me, y'all going to give me your opinion after we get through. So Harold, it's kind of freezing here. Let me share. All right, I got it up. Kevin, Harold says it's 67 degrees tonight, partly cloudy, 86 tomorrow. Okay. Coasty says 62 degrees. Betty Bob says 75 degrees and cloudy. And then our brother Charlton say, hi, John Thompson, evening. Bionic Woman, I was about to ask how it was in Dallas. She says it's 62 degrees in Dallas and cloudy. Now, I really want y'all opinion on this, family, okay? So this is very important. I want to know y'all opinion on this here. And like I said, y'all gonna tell me, look at it. The young man does an excellent job. I've seen this case before, and I'm really impressed on what he did. If you get a chance, go over to his channel and subscribe. You know, if you find the information interesting. I saw this video. I hadn't looked at any of his other videos. It's a newer channel, but got a little bit more subscribers than me, close to me, but it's very thorough young man, because I've seen the information before in parts, bits and pieces. He puts it together quite well. And Charlton says 70 degrees in Pennsylvania. So family, I'm gonna mute the sound and let's get to this here. Oh, hold on. Fair use, fair use. This is for informative and educational purposes. Oh, come on. Fair use. All right, let's go here. All right, now let's get to it. Now, once we get started, I want y'all to give if you can hear what's being said, I want you to give a thumbs up. All right, if you can hear it, give a thumbs up. And we're about to go over the case of the gentleman, the soldier, I believe he's in the army, his case and his saga. Okay, Betty Bobs can hear it, what's being played. If y'all can hear it, here we go. I'm about to start it now. Let's go. We're going to, hold on. I want to make sure I got my logo in here. Give me a second here. Okay, everything should be straight. Okay. Let's get started. All right. Here we go.
They swore to protect our nation, yet they now sit on death row, accused of some of the most disturbing crimes in military history. Welcome to this true crime documentary, where we will explore the most dangerous inmates currently awaiting execution in the U.S. military justice system. The United States Armed Forces has executed over 130 individuals since 1916, but no executions have taken place in the last 50 years. Why have these cases stalled? What crimes led to their death sentences? Each case comes loaded with many overturned convictions, DNA revelations, horrifying on-base shootings, and a web of military and civilian court battles. Buckle in. This is going to be an intense look into men the U.S. military has marked for death. Case 1. Timothy B. Hennis.
So this is the only one we're going to be covering. Timothy B. Hennis, okay? Not saying that in the future we might not cover the other ones, but this one is specifically important because he ended up becoming a retiree. And so we want to show you, based on that, what I told you before, So y'all see an actual example of this happening. Somebody that's a retiree that was called back to active duty. Let's get into the case. And when we get through, please pay attention and let me know at the end. I want to know your opinion. Save your opinions on whether he's innocent or guilty. To the end, I'm gonna ask y'all some questions.
Our first story begins in Fayetteville, North Carolina, in May of 1985. It was just a few days before Mother's Day. Air Force Captain Gary Eastburn was attending specialized military training in Alabama, preparing his family for an overseas transfer to England. His wife, Catherine Eastburn, stayed behind at their home near Fort Bragg with their 3 little girls, 5-year-old Kara, 3-year-old Aaron, and 22-month-old Jana. The Eastburns were an ordinary military family looking for a fresh start abroad, and in that process, they decided to rehome their English setter, Dixie. They placed an ad in a local publication, hoping a kind person would adopt the beloved pet. Then comes Timothy Hennis, a 27-year-old Army sergeant stationed at Fort Bragg. Hennis visited the Eastburn home on May 7, 1985, to pick up Dixie. He appeared courteous, friendly, and grateful for the opportunity to give Dixie a new home. Catherine handed over the dog, unaware that this encounter would set off a horrifying chain of events. On May 11th, only days after Hennis adopted Dixie, phone calls to the Eastburn residence went unanswered. Captain Gary Eastburn, stationed in Alabama, always checked in on his wife and children. Now his calls rang endlessly. Neighbors noticed newspapers piling up on the front porch. They also heard a baby crying inside. Concern grew. In a community of military families that prided itself on looking out for one another, this silence spoke volumes. Law enforcement arrived on May 12th and made a grisly discovery. Inside the home, Catherine had been assaulted and stabbed repeatedly. 5-year-old Kara and 3-year-old Aaron were found in separate bedrooms, both victims of violent stabbings. Jana, the youngest child, was found alive in her crib, severely dehydrated but otherwise physically unharmed. Authorities were shocked by the brutality. They immediately secured the scene, photographing every inch of the home, collecting fingerprints, and searching for DNA or hair fibers that might reveal the attacker's identity. They noticed items that had been disturbed or removed, indicating possible staging or a hurried attempt to wipe away evidence. Despite the chaos, the fingerprints and hairs left behind suggested a single suspect.
Now, family, this is why we got to be careful, even in today's society, because of so much stuff is being showed on what Let Go and all these different apps that you can use to sell things, and people come to your house. Don't open your front door to nobody, because once you open your front door, you let them into your whole life. You understand? Everything done outside, public place. Never open your front door. I'm the only person that opens my front door. My daughter and my niece don't open their front door unless I tell them to, because that's dangerous. That's how a lot of people have been harmed. But she sold a dog to him, and they're assuming that he may have been the person, the culprit. Let's see.
Witnesses in the neighborhood recalled seeing a tall man wearing what looked like a members-only jacket exiting the Eastburn home around the time of the murders. This individual carried a trash bag, as if disposing of evidence. One crucial tip came in. The family dog, recently adopted by none other than Army Sergeant Timothy Hennis, tied him directly to Catherine and her 3 daughters. Police zeroed in on Hennis. With the composite sketch, eyewitness statements, and the knowledge he'd visited the Eastburn home days before the murders, Hennis was taken into custody. Additional evidence, though partly circumstantial, strengthened the case against him. In 1986, Hennis faced trial for the murders of Catherine, Kara, and Aaron Eastburn. Prosecutors argued he had the motive and the opportunity. The timeline placed him at the scene. They presented testimonies from neighbors who identified him in a photo lineup. Despite Hennis's claims of innocence, he was convicted on all counts, including 3 counts of first-degree murder, and sentenced to death. He was transferred to North Carolina's Central Prison, where he joined the state's death row population. But this was just the beginning of a lengthy legal saga. Hennis's team appealed, and in 1989, the North Carolina Supreme Court overturned his conviction based on prejudicial errors, which often refers to issues like improper evidence handling or biased jury selection. At a retrial, Hennis was acquitted of the murders due to insufficient direct evidence connecting him to the scene. After regaining his
Now, listen to what happened, family. He was, I think, put on death row the first time. They convicted him, but because of some of the legal procedures, they had to dismiss the trial. He was retried and found he was acquitted. So you don't supposed to be tried once you're acquitted. The first time it was on a technicality, so he could be retried. The second time, it was the fact that he was just acquitted. The jury acquitted him. So, right, no more way to charge him, right? Let's see.
freedom, Hennis re-enlisted in the U.S. Army. His military career continued without apparent blemish. He even rose to the rank of staff sergeant, eventually retiring honorably in 2004. For many,
So not only did he go back into the military, he retired. After he was acquitted, he said, "Hey, let me back in." They let him back in, and he retired. They say without any blemish, but you know how the military is.
his acquittal symbolized a man who might have been wrongly convicted. But the ghosts of the Eastburn murders lingered, and the case refused to remain closed. In 2006, DNA technology had advanced significantly since the mid-1980s. Cold case investigators nationwide began reopening older files, applying modern techniques to evidence once considered too degraded for analysis. Samples taken from Catherine Eastburn's body were tested, and the results stunned law enforcement. The DNA matched Timothy Hennis. Now the question was whether civilian courts could retry him. Under the principle of double jeopardy, a person acquitted of a crime in civilian court cannot be tried again for the same crime. Hennis was no ordinary civilian. He had served in the U.S. Army. Military courts operate under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, UCMJ, which can supersede certain civilian rules if a service member is found to have violated the UCMJ.
Now, what they're saying here, family, is that the military courts have sovereignty. Remember that term, that when it comes to the military, they don't have to worry about what went on in the civilian world, even though they're going to work together to get that evidence to get against him. They have sovereignty. They're not limited by the double jeopardy rule in the civilian courts. You feel me? So follow me. They have sovereignty. Don't forget that word.
Despite being retired, Hennis could be recalled to active duty for the purpose of facing a court-martial.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? They call this man, he was I want to say he was an E8, E7. They call him back to service just to put him in jail. Come on now. Listen to what our brothers say. USMCJ, that's the justice system in the military. Military justice is first always. Do you understand? We are government property, and I don't want you to forget that. Don't be nervous about it. Understand, we government property. Always. Yes, indeed.
That's precisely what happened. In 2010, he was court-martialed at Fort Bragg. The DNA evidence formed the cornerstone of the prosecution's argument. The defense countered with claims of contamination or mishandling. The jury of military personnel deemed the evidence conclusive. Hennis was found guilty of 3 counts of premeditated murder and sentenced to death on April 15, 2010. Today, he remains on death row at the U.S. Disciplinary Barracks in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas.
I know that woman looks small, but that's his wife. She's just a small woman. That's his wife.
About 15 years have passed since his new death sentence, and about 19 total years of his life have been spent behind bars. Despite his many appeals, Hennis is still one of the few U.S. soldiers awaiting the military's final judgment.